see all these different images and videos and things that go around online that show really dramatically how plastic can kill animals at sea. It can rip through their intestines, or it can fill them up or block the passage of food through their bodies. More often, and what I see as more problematic, is the extent at which plastic and these little microplastics and nanoplastics have proliferated through the food web. When plastic gets smaller than 5 millimeters, scientists call it microplastics. And these plastics are very harmful because they can be easily ingested by a huge number of marine species. They're also very hard to clean up. How do you clean up a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of plastic? Really, really hard. These microplastics break down into even smaller pieces of plastic called nanoplastics that are so small. These are things that are smaller than 1/10 of 1 millimeter. And when plastics get that small, they can pass through your gut wall and into your body tissues. We found microplastic bits and nanoplastic bits, more importantly, in things like livers and muscle tissues and gills of fish. What makes plastic particularly dangerous, or potentially dangerous, is that we add components to it. We add chemicals to it that increase the durability, the flexibility, the inflammability. These are much more worrisome than the plastic backbone itself. But almost every type of user plastic that we have these additives. But also there's been a lot of good research that has demonstrated that when plastics float out at sea, they actually act as a contaminant sponge. So a lot of contaminants want to be attached to something hard, and plastic is a great substrate for which these contaminants can associate with. When animals eat plastic, they can get this dose of contaminants that can be potentially detrimental for their system. Plastic attracts a lot of marine life in addition to these contaminants, things like algae and phytoplanktons. And when that happens, it concentrates the smell of productive foraging areas. And so what we found and shown in a number of different experiments now is that when this biological life grows on the outside of plastic, it makes plastic seem superficially attractive to these animals. And once their nose tells them that there's going to be food, it brings them to the area where there might be plastic debris, perhaps instead of food or in addition to food. We're not separate from the natural world. Anything that we can find out about these fish in the ocean, which might seem unimportant, are actually very important because we're finding it in our bodies as well. There's this very common phrase of reduce, reuse, and recycle, right? The order of those words is actually very important. Reduce your use of plastic. That will have the biggest impact of the three. If you need to use that item of plastic, can you reuse it? That's really important. And then finally, of course, if you can recycle, do it. So reduce, reuse, recycle, and vote for environmentally friendly legislation. And educate yourself.